and the United States is their home. So I think you start with those.
But Mally, your party has been pushing this for over 2 decades. This line, we grew up on this movement of the Gang of Eight, and we were going to have immigration, bipartisan agreement, and an amnesty deal for the Dreamers. But yet we still got your Democratic Party of an uncontrolled border and an inability to say that it was bad, because you want so badly to do the amnesty deal. When that is not possible in Congress, you'll accept the open borders. You'll turn your head the other way.
Very quickly, Mally, and then we'll turn to London. Do you think that the Democrats got it wrong in America during the Biden presidency?
I think the Democrats were certainly too slow to addressing undocumented immigrants coming across the southern border. Look, I think there was a lot of things President Biden did well, but it was clearly a policy failure to not secure the border earlier, and I think that is a success President Trump has had. I would say, though, where President Trump gets it wrong is the fact that after securing the border, what do we do with undocumented immigrants who are in the country now? And I think it's twofold. You deport violent criminals, rapists, anyone who makes the community not safe, and folks who have got here very, very recently. But for folks who've lived here for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, I think there should be a pathway to citizenship. The only president who's had broad popular support on their immigration policies, because as much as the real beef with Don Keith, or whatever his name was, wants to tout Trump's immigration policies, he's underwater now on immigration because of everything that's gone on with ICE. The only president who has had consistent support on immigration is Obama, because he threaded that needle of saying we should have a secure border, but we should also add a pathway to citizenship for those who are here
Barack
illegally.
Obama had a pretty aggressive deportation regime going on. He was also very quiet about the work that he did on immigration enforcement. One of the things that I think Mally is too polite in criticizing Democrats about, but is true of the American population, is that they do not want to see open borders, strangers flowing into communities from foreign lands that are undocumented, have no background, did not go through the process. But then also, they don't want to see doors being kicked down, families being torn apart, but that is, of course, what the media wants to portray when you do immigration enforcement. They don't have the stomach for hardline immigration enforcement. You have to do things quietly, professionally, and behind the scenes. And the past Trump administration strategy of being big and loud as possible might have been good for shoring up support amongst Republicans, but not good with the average American.
Frankly, it's not just in America. We do see these scenes occasionally pop up on social media of British immigration enforcement under Conservative and Labour governments. And yes, it is brutal when people have to be removed from their homes against their will. There is force involved. Mally Smith, I want to press you on this question of an amnesty, because a pathway to citizenship is exactly what Spain offered. Many people, up to 1 million people, who were in that country illegally. And we are now seeing many boatloads of more people arriving in Spain. How do you do something like that without creating a pull effect?
Well, it's a good question, and I am not an immigration policy expert, but I would say this: the people who I think should be granted a pathway to citizenship are not necessarily the folks who've gotten here in the last year or 2 years. They're folks who I went to school with in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, who I know are undocumented immigrants because their parents brought them here as children, and they don't speak, or they've never really been to their home country, and the United States is their home. So I think you start with those.
But Mally, your party has been pushing this for over 2 decades. This line, we grew up on this movement of the Gang of Eight, and we were going to have immigration, bipartisan agreement, and an amnesty deal for the Dreamers. But yet we still got your Democratic Party of an uncontrolled border and an inability to say that it was bad, because you want so badly to do the amnesty deal. When that is not possible in Congress, you'll accept the open borders. You'll turn your head the other way.
Very quickly, Mally, and then we'll turn to London.
Well, the deal, the Gang of Eight, was pushed by President Obama, and it was killed by Republican intransigents on the Hill. And I 100% agree with you.
Politics is complicated.
I'm 100% agree with you that I think Democrats need to be stronger on the border, and most Democrats I've seen have accepted that President Trump got that part right. Where Americans have turned against them is the ICE enforcement and the question of what we do for folks who have been in the country for a really long time.
Everyone
we're going to pause it in Washington, D.C. for the moment. We're going to pause it in Washington, D.C. for the moment because we're going to head